Hello everyone, this is Kathleen and Be Again Books, and I am here to show you how I'm organizing my next project. Um, so I just wanted to, I don't even know how to start. It's just such a pile, but I wanted to kind of build on the video that I made uh, a while ago on finding journal supplies in the thrift store. And so we talked about that. And then, I just posted the one about trash and finding journal supplies in the trash. And so what I want to do is create my next project using this stuff from the thrift store and the stuff from trash, and then how I put that stuff together, um, and try to create a unified junk journal. Because sometimes, a journal can just be so eclectic that there's no unity in it. It just seems to be a collection of stuff, and that was the way that I made junk journals, really in the beginning for quite a while. But there was something about them that I just didn't like much, and I think it's because I didn't have what I now understand as, unity throughout the book. And even when a junk journal, I think, even when a junk journal is filled with stuff, just junk, you still need to organize it in such a way that it becomes unified. And you can do that a couple of different ways. You can do that through design. You can do it through color. You can do it through material or media, like types of things that you repeat again and again through the journal, and that helps to create unity in the total design. And so I have a whole pile of junk, and then I have chosen this time to bring unity through some designer paper. So I wanted to show you the papers that I've chosen, and then through this cover, because this is the book cover that I'm going to use. It's pretty large. This is going to be a pretty large journal, I project anyway. I am thinking that it's going to turn out that way. It has a pretty big spine. Let's see how wide that is. Yeah, the spine is about 1.5 inches. So that's 1 3/4 actually. So that's going to take at least 3, probably 4, and maybe even 5 signatures, depending on how big I make the signatures. But this is going to be a chunky book, I can tell. But I really like the color of this book, this recycled book. So this is what I'm going to use, and it matched this paper really well. And these two papers came from that paper pad that I bought to make the gift for my daughter-in-law ages ago. And it had yellowish orange, and then it had this pinkish orange. And so I used the yellowish orange papers mostly in her book, but that kind of left this pinky. And when I ran into this cover, I thought, oh my gosh, that matches so well. That this is what, so these two papers are what is kind of going to determine the unity of this journal. So I'm using these two, and then I went looking for other scrap pieces that would also help. And so this, even though that's kind of on the orange side, hopefully, you know, it matches here, and hopefully in the end it's kind of like the oh, I remember when my mom was teaching me about impressionistic painting, that, you know, when you get up close, it doesn't necessarily match. It doesn't necessarily make sense when you look at it really close, but when you step back, all the way back, and you look at it as a whole, then it's beautiful and it makes sense. Quilting is like that. You can put all kinds of scraps together next to each other, patterns, colors, and it doesn't have to look really good up close, but it always looks good when you step back. And so that's what I'm going to try to do in this journal, by combining all of this junk, this disparate stuff, into, you know, a cohesive, unified book. That's what I'm going for. So some of it, you know, doesn't match really well until you kind of step back, but I think that's looking good. This, you know, is maybe, I think it looks good. I like the way it looks. This is a little bit pink, but it's going to match, I think. This is very pink, but it's going to work. I just know that it will work. This is especially pink, and it kind of clashes with that paper a little bit, but it's going to work, I promise. So those are the designer papers. I don't know how much of them I'll use or how little of them, but that's what I've pulled for this project. And then I want to show you quickly, this is left over from the last video. We'll put that aside. I wanted to show you just quickly some of the other papers that I've chosen. Do you remember I had that fabulous music manuscript paper that I found in the thrift store? So I pulled one of those. I pulled just one of these deconstructed journal pages, some coffee dyed project page that I have in my file. I just create this paper, you know, like by the 100 pages at a time, so because I usually put a piece in every journal I make. This is some avocado dyed paper that came from my daughter-in-law, Kate. Thank you very much, Kate. It's kind of pink, right? But still, when you put it next to that, it's going to be fine. This is this came from a vintage ledger book that I found at the thrift store. So I pulled that. This is also just really common, you know, just that green ledger. It's not vintage, but it's going to match. The colors are going to match. This is just a piece of dollar store sketch pad, you know, just, yeah, I get it at the dollar store. It's in the children's educational aisle, and it's just a whole pad. I just love the texture of this paper, and the color is not stark white, which is also a plus in my opinion, so that goes in there. It's just a little scrap of something. I'm not sure even where it came from, but it's out of my scrap box, so that's that. Here's another kind of pinky scrap, but I pulled that, and then this green is also left over from the book that I made for my daughter-in-law. So there's all of those papers ready to go. And now for the other stuff that I have from the thrift store. I found this book. It's some kind of a journal, just paper. It's vintage, and it was in one of those binders that have those metal claws that kind of come together. I discarded that and then just kept the paper. So we'll just kind of pick one of those to go in this journal. This is a vintage spiral stenographer's notebook. that I have. I don't have a whole lot of paper left in there, but I'm going to put one of those in there. This is a piece of trash. It was just a mailer that came to me advertising my family reunion. And I think the colors just went really well. This was in 2019, so that's how long I've been saving that piece of trash. This is the front page of a book. You know, what's it called? The flyleaf of a book. It's got a stamp here. It's got these other things. But I can use that paper, and it just adds another different tone in those tones. This is my guest book paper. Let's just rip one of those off and add one of those. This is another, just some kind of a little vintage ledger book. It was hardback. I discarded the cover, was not in good shape, but the pages were in fabulous shape, so we'll take one of those. This is another scrap. This is it was one of those, like a yellow pad, only this is not yellow, it's a gray color, but it was in, I found it at the Salvation Army, and it was in one of those books that you get when you go to a conference and they give you paper, you know, to use. And it was old. It's probably, I don't know, at least in the 80s, maybe the early 90s, but it's a great color. And so we'll take a page of that. And then I have just a few other things like this. I wanted to show you, I found this for $1 at Bethel, my favorite thrift store, and it's Anna Griffin papers. And so I'm just going to, there's like a green stripe in here that I thought was, oh, there it is. I thought it was really pretty. Yeah, there it is. So we'll use that. And it also has kind of an off-white back to it, which is really nice. This is just a book that was given to me by a friend. Pretty paper, and I just am using the pattern on that. I found this in it's some wallpaper, and it's definitely vintage because it cracks, but I love that pattern, and so we're going to use a piece or two of that. This was just a scrap of some kind. I'm not even sure where it came from, but it's in my scrap drawer, so we'll use that. This, obviously, a little Tim Holtz wallet-size scrap. This was a book, came from my friend Isabel. Just some herbs, healthcare guide. Anyway, it's old. She was just cleaning out a bunch of stuff, and I liked the paper, and so I'm going to pull a piece of that. This is some kind of a scrap with an embossed, it's a vellum, but it has this pretty embossed image, so I think we'll use that somehow. A greeting card from the thrift store, another greeting card, a note card or something. Anyway, I've obviously cut that off. This is a little book page. This is just a punch out of a paint chip. Just a book page image of some kind of a stamped image, botanical. This was a greeting card the inside. You know, you had the outside, probably some kind, and then this was the inside, and I just have used that and embossed it and done a little bit of inking, and I think that matches this whole project really well, so I'm going to pull that. This is a thrift store card, and a scrap of paper. This is a piece of that stationery that I found a few weeks ago in the thrift store. That's going to look pretty in here. This is a magazine page. It's just from an old scrapbook magazine. But I loved the colors, and so I'm going to use that. I really liked this image on this Valentine's Day card, but there's a number of ways that I might be able to use those images. This is, I don't know what it is. I think my friend Elizabeth sent this to me. Pretty. It's just a scrap of something, but I think I can use that. This is a piece of Edith Holden book page, and it's got snakes on the back. I'm not going to use the snakes, obviously, but I could use this side for a pocket or something. This is a piece of beautiful stationery that I found in the thrift store some time ago, like a couple years even, and I just love it. I don't have very many pieces of this left either, but it's going to go in this book. And then this is just a fun little piece of wrapping paper or something, but it's just eclectic, but I just kind of, I don't know, it appealed to me for some reason, so I pulled it. We'll see if I can use it. This is a pattern. I kind of liked this gal. Well, I like both of them, actually. There's some the directions are in there. Anyway, it's a vintage pattern that I had in my stash. This is definitely, you know, should be in the trash, but I liked these flowers, and so it's just the cover of a book, and we'll see how I can use that. This is half of a file folder. Not sure where I even got this, but I loved this green, and I can use that. Scraps. This is a photo that Isabel gave me. I think she probably took the picture and then has enlarged it, so it's kind of fading out. It was in a photo album, and she was cleaning stuff out and said, "Can you use this?" I said, "I don't know, but let me take it." And I bet I can use it in this project. It's a little bit of a book page image. This is just some gel print that I have done, and strange colors really when you put it together, but again, let me find here's it's gonna be okay, I promise. It's got orange, and it's got pinky shred, and it's a green. Yeah, I don't know. I remember making this, but I didn't wondered whether I would ever use it, actually, but I think I'm going to try to use it in this project. Here's another greeting card. It's very pretty. I love that. See that little orangey bit on the breast, and the green. Another greeting card. You know, I don't know how much I'll end up using of this stuff, but I just pulled it thinking, I don't know. Here's kind of a greeting card that I have fussy cut. We'll see. This is hatched diced tomatoes and jalapenos. It's a food label. We'll see. It'll be interesting. The work basket. There's some of this. And then I really liked this image out of the book. It's just a book, but I just really like that. That just reminds me so much of where I grew up, where I live now, just out here in the West. It's just very evocative to me, and so I'm gonna use that. This is another vintage book page. We'll see. And then this also came from the thrift store. It was somebody's baby boy. I bought it in an envelope of old scrapbook supplies, papers and stuff, but this is going to be perfect. I can use these alphabet stickers. Isabel just recently gave me these. There were a handful of them, and I don't know how I might use it, but we'll see. It's there. This was also another deconstructed journal. It was partially used, and I obviously threw the pages that were used away, and have just used some of the rest of them in my journals. This was a couple of weeks ago when I made that video about the thrift store. This was paper that was in that little notebook, and it has this pink line at the top that I liked. So we'll put a page of that in. Here's another page of that stationery, one of the flashcards. Here's the impressionist stickers that I found. These stickers I will end up probably just using one of these, making some stack of stickers. These are some old Debbie Munn's scrapbooking, creative imagination scrapbooking stickers. They're probably at least 10 or 15 years old, but interesting, and I think they will match. Here's the envelope that goes with that greeting card. I found a little packet of these. It's very 50s. One of those folded note things. So we'll use that. This is just a piece of paper from the thrift store, one of those little notepads. Another random, this is an odd size paper. I'm really not sure where that came from, but it has an interesting texture. It's typing paper of some kind, but we'll put a page of that in. Here's St. Joseph Healthcare System in Albuquerque, so we'll put a page of that in. And another one of those funny little, notepads that it's vintage, I can tell, because it's faded here on the edge. So we'll put that in as well. So, oh my gosh, so there's a whole pile of stuff, all junk, with the exception of these kind of designer papers. Most of them are old scrapbook paper, except for these two. These are new, and these are the ones that I will use to try to unify the book. So that's my plan, and I hope that you'll follow along and watch me make this next journal. Thanks so much for being with me, and we'll see you next time.